What's up, everybody? We are back with another Loki review. Today we're going to be reviewing season 2, episode 3 of Loki. 1893 is the title. So I'm going to give my initial thoughts on this episode. I liked the episode, from what I recall, because it was a few days ago that I watched it. Liked it a lot. I liked the introduction of Victor Timely. Finally, kind of in like a full length, I'd say, episode. We saw him at the end of Ant-Man. And again, I think they've done a great job of making any sort of Kang variants or what's the guy? What's the guy at the end of the season 1?
He Who Remains.
He Who Remains, like any of those kind of people or characters menacing. I'll be honest. I just at the end of I'm just confused. Okay, I'm confused on where we are going. We have Renslayer, who's after we're after Renslayer, who's after Victor Timely. We have Miss Minutes, who is also seems to kind of have a separate agenda. So we have Renslayer with an agenda, Miss Minutes with an agenda, and then we have Loki and Mobius. I almost said Morbius. Mobius with another agenda. So I'm confused. I think I might need some explanation from you. Renslayer, what is our goal here with Renslayer? Why do we need Victor Timely?
First, I just want to give my sentence thoughts on this, which is compared to the last thing we talked about, I fucking loved this episode. I thought this was easily the best of this season so far. Mm-hmm. Maybe my third or second favorite of the whole show. First of all, you gotta, obviously, let's just say it, get it out of the way. Whatever's happening with Jonathan Majors, this has been a very long and protracted, drawn-out court proceedings and everything. Hopefully, the truth comes out. Whatever happened, whatever it does, we can move forward with whatever. We're dealing with the reality of he is in this show. He is acting in this show. He is a big, big element and a big character in this show. That being said, I loved this episode. I thought that Jonathan Majors was great. I think this is my favorite portrayal of a Kang that he has done so far. And then just to kind of roll into what you're talking about, man, I feel like the exact opposite. I think I can see through the Matrix and I can see through the fabric of the universe here, or the MC universe here. I think this whole thing, and we talked about it after the first episode where Loki, you kind of see Loki prune himself and Sylvie's in the elevator and everything like this. And there's a great, and I believe this before that video because it's there if you look into it, so it's no surprise that they made a video about it. I would recommend to you and to anyone watching this to go check out Screen Crush's video on their kind of theory of where all of this is going. If I can remember in my brain when I post this review, maybe I'll throw it in the description. I think that what's the title of the first episode? Ouroboros. Ki Hu Kwan's character's name, Ouroboros. Ouroboros is a also known in actual astrophysics as retrocausality, which is a big, essentially not necessarily a time loop, but a grandfather paradox where the thing has to happen in order for the thing to be able to happen.
Okay.
I think you don't get a Kang ever in all of the multiverse if Ravonna Renslayer doesn't put that TVA guidebook into his window.
Okay.
And you can't get Ravonna Renslayer to put that TVA guidebook into his window without a Kang running the TVA to send her there.
Okay.
I think that what he said in the first season finale of, if you kill me, this is all just going to restart and we'll be back here anyways. And then what's the last thing he says to Sylvie? See you soon. I think that he knows that he dies, sends Miss Minutes and Ravonna back in time to give the TVA guidebook to his young childhood self.
Mm-hmm.
So that then Loki and Sylvie can go and fight him, and then Loki can bring him back to the TVA so that then he can take over the TVA. I think that the Victor Timely we meet in this episode is the Kang from Ant-Man and is He Who Remains. I don't think obviously there's Kang variants, but I think in terms of the MCU's Kang, I think that we just saw the He Who Remains from season 1, how he first gets to the TVA. And that is very confusing.
Yeah.
And I get that. And I don't know if everybody's going to keep along with that, but that is what I think is happening.
And I think for me, it was always as though the season 1 He Who Remains Kang variant, whatever, it always seemed to me as though he was protecting everybody from the other variants. So now what you're telling me is, well, actually,
I think that's all true.
Okay, but like, well, then what am I afraid of? Which one am I afraid of? What am I afraid of? Am I afraid of Victor Timely as He Remains and the guy who takes over TVA, or am I afraid of the variants?
I think you're afraid of the variants. So what I'm saying is, I think...
Sorry, real quick.
Yeah, no,
he always seemed like in season 1, he was in that one episode, I think, or 2 episodes,
just
whatever
one,
it is. He came off very, I feel like, kind. Is that just me? Like, he didn't seem menacing whatsoever, really.
Yeah, but you gotta keep in mind that, like, what I'm saying, and this is, like, very out there, but, like, what I'm saying is, like, I think that the Victor Timely that is in this episode, like, 6 billion years later, or whatever it is the guy from season 1. And it's after all of his experience. Like, I think that Victor Timely from 1893, when he goes into the TVA portal at the end of this episode, whatever the events happen there, I think that he is going to get into the TVA, take it over, wipe everyone's memory, and then the whole pattern resets itself. When Loki was time slipping into the past, and you see He Who Remains everywhere, I think that that's how it was in the past. Man, saying this out loud, I sound like a crazy person to myself. So please let me know if you're not, like, following along with me. But like that's what I think is happening. I think that he goes from Victor Timely goes to the TVA with Loki. Loki loses control. Victor Timely takes over the TVA, builds statues and murals of himself everywhere, wipes everyone's memories, and I think that it all repeats itself. I think that the Ouroboros, time loop, I think that the whole TVA is one big time loop. Is that the TVA has to be destroyed so that Kang can die, so that once the TVA is destroyed, Ravonna Renslayer can go back in time and make sure that Victor Timely gets the TVA guidebook and gets to the TVA so that Kang can take over the TVA. And then I think somewhere along that line, Ant-Man happens and the multiversal war happens and he meets Janet and all that. Because I think that when he goes, this is it, what does he say? Like the culmination of all my life's research, and he has that little orb thing. I think that is the probability matrix thing that he had in Ant-Man. I think that's the orb that he's been trying to get to work. And clearly he can design all this TVA stuff, but he's not going to be able to enact any of it until he gets to the TVA. And then once he gets to the TVA and has TVA technology, then I think it's all bets are off. Then he builds the purple suit. He does the telekinesis, maybe because he saw Loki use telekinesis against him and he went, that would be handy to have. I think he gets, builds the time chair so that he can go on away missions from the TVA. And then I think the multiversal war happens, all of this stuff. Because, the Victor Timely is on the stage. He has a little mini temporal loom. So it's like, who built the loom at the TVA if it wasn't Victor Timely? That's what I think. Again, this is crazy, and I really hope that the show pulls it off. It is. Yeah. It is really kind of a mind loop. But like I said, that Screen Crush video really just sets it out so nicely, and makes you really able to understand it. But that is what I think, and I think that it's all leading to, and like Miss Minutes says, originally I was just a basic AI. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if that's true. I think maybe
Mm-hmm.
this Miss Minutes, because all these TVA agents, they all think that their memories started at a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that that's when their memories started. I think that's when their memories were restarted. I think he goes in and wipes everyone's minds, maybe every couple thousand years, wipes everyone's minds, resets the TVA so that he can start all over again. And sometimes it's him, sometimes it's the timekeepers. I think that it's basically whatever he wants it to be. I just think, but then I think totally outside of the TVA, I think in other multiverses there are the other Kangs. There is the Council of
Mm-hmm.
Kangs, and I think that it's more so that I don't know if the Rama Tut Kang that we see in the post-credit scene of Ant-Man, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that guy has a TVA. I think we've been thinking about all this like wrong. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I don't think that it's every Kang has a TVA. I think it's just this is the TVA. But I don't know. It's very very
Yeah.
hard, but I love it. I
um.
love everything that's going on in this show.
So just getting off. I guess just getting off that whole thing.
Yeah.
Um.
I just like
I really I thought the whole kind of Miss Minutes thing was really cool in
yeah.
this episode. Obviously you talking about like the whole AI thing, but kind of seeing her have these like emotions as well and feelings towards Victor Timely, which is very odd. And then her like putting her face on that mannequin
Yeah,
as
that was
though she
creepy.
was like, I need like a real body. I just got it got really, really creepy for me.
Yeah.
Um which I thought was cool. Um so what'd you think? Probably around the
I thought all
same
that
lines.
stuff was great. I thought everything with Miss Minutes was really really good. I liked everything with Ravona that they were kind of going.
Hmm.
Also, another thing that again, the runtimes don't bother me as much as other people, but this episode was like 58 minutes. Like without credits, it was like 51 minutes of actual episode.
Hmm.
And that's pretty great for one of these Marvel shows to have like a 50-minute episode. Um I thought it was just it all went really really well together. Uh like I just really like where everything is going, and I hope they pull through. I hope that everything lands, because it would be a real shame if it kind of all fell apart. But um
Oh jeez.
yeah, I'm just really really like excited to see where this is going, because if they can
Mhm.
like pull this off, and this episode was really the first time that I was like, wow. To answer your question from earlier, this episode is the first time that I went, wow, this Kang guy, this Victor Timely, like he is kind of slippery. Like he is like con man. Like to me, if this guy, as like bumbling as he is right now at the start, if he gets a hold of the tech in the TVA, I feel like he could be unstoppable.
Yeah,
And
I did think that was interesting how, you know, he does the whole presentation and it's like, wow, like all this stuff is so cool. And then it turns out like none of it really works. Like
yeah,
and none
because
of it
it's
really
like he
because
can't
it's
actually.
right.
It's
Yeah,
like
because
he
none of
can't
it has
enact
been
any of his actual designs. Yeah.
right. Or even like again on top of that too, he's kind of like he's a pretty good, I guess, salesman in a way. Like the guy with the pants and
Hmm.
he's like, "Oh, it's gonna make you tall." He's like, "They're not working." He's like, and he's like ducking down. He's like, "Well, no, you look taller than me right now." um, yeah, all that was really cool. I think it did. It kind of sucked maybe a little bit that Loki and Mobius took a bit of a back seat. I feel like in this episode.
That being
But
said, though, I still think the beginning where
might
they
have been
were
necessary.
mainly in was
Yeah.
great. Everything
No,
with
I
him
agree.
seeing Odin and Thor and
I
them,
thought
and
that was awesome.
yeah, and it's like again, it's
And
just
that
like
Balder kind of
yeah, and
reference.
it
Yeah.
you know what it really made me think, and because I feel like we are getting to that point now where I think I do think that Loki is only going to be a 2-season show.
Mm.
Because they talked about how they wrote it as 12 episodes, and
Yeah.
that they talked about a couple weeks ago that they were like, this is not going to be a like season 2 finale is a cliffhanger like season 1. the season 2 finale is the end of the story that we've been telling since the season 1 premiere. And that makes me happy to know that it's all plotted out and it's all thought through and everything. And I think we are getting to the moment, and I think this little scene with him looking at the statues of Thor and everything, I do think eventually we're going to see them back on screen together. And I think that they're starting to lay the groundwork of like, hey, he's doing all this TVA stuff, and he's going to help bring down Kang, and Loki is this really big multiversal kind of important figure now, but he is also still Odin's son and Thor's brother. And like that is a very important thing to this character still. And then they kind of hang a lantern on it with Mobius going, sometimes I forget you're actually one of these guys. You know what I mean? And I love that. We've been talking about that.
I do love like it's like all these carvings. It's like Thor, Odin, Balder.
Yeah, and it's like,
it's like
yeah,
where am I? Like...
Yeah, exactly. I love that. But yeah, and then I just thought that was everything with them was great. And yeah, I'm just really excited to kind of see where this is going. And again, I just think it feels very thought out, which is why I have so much hope that like they're gonna do some really cool, like, I don't know if you want to call it a reveal or whatever, but I do think that we are leading to, I think they're going to reveal that this Victor Timely guy is the Kang the Conqueror, and he also is He Who Remains. You know what I mean? I think it's just one of those things that, we're going to have to let it see how it unfolds. Another thing I remember that helps to that is, remember in episode 1, in the past, Loki hears that recording of Kang going,
right.
Miss Renslayer, you've been extremely helpful to me.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
I think that is like the Victor Timely and Ravonna that we just saw in this episode.
Right.
I think that's the two of them talking to each other.
Yeah. Did you see like the theory that Ravonna was like a Kang variant or something?
No, I didn't.
No, that's all I saw. I didn't see anything past that, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm interested to see where Ravonna and Miss Minutes go from here, because they're kind of stranded now at the end of time.
Yeah. That's another thing too, is again in this video, you know how the what do they call it? The Time Palace or whatever? What was the name for that? Like his little mansion at the end of time?
Yeah.
Or the Citadel of Time. How the Citadel has that Japanese technique where it has like the gold to repair it all.
Mm-hmm.
So they said in that video, they were like, well, maybe it's repaired because it's crumbled before. And then Kang puts it back together. And then in this episode, when they go there, it's crumbling down again. So he's like, maybe when Victor Timely gets there, he puts it all right again. And that's why it's been broken and then repaired and broken and repaired all, over and over and over again. Man, I just really hope that they can like do this.
Stick the landing.
Yeah, stick the landing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But again, I don't have any, I really don't have any doubt that they're going to be able to, because at this point, this show has delivered 9 incredible episodes over the past 2.5 years that are really, really good. So, I don't know. What else? There's like so much that is in this episode too. I like the little, him running around and trying to get away from the like robber baron guys. Like I thought that was interesting. And again, I do really like Jonathan Majors in this episode.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. Maybe the kind of bear guys I might have been able to do without.
It was a little like Benny Hill at the end, like running around with each other, like,
He went out the window.
Yeah. Nobody went around the building to check.
We didn't even get to see Loki and Mobius ride on the bike.
I know, yeah. Well, maybe they're setting up for a jet ski.
Oh, yeah, that could be it.
Yeah.
All right.
I thought it was great.
That's our review.
Yeah. Guys, let us know, what did you think of this most recent episode of Loki? Let us know down below. And until then, we will catch you guys in the next video.